Good morning, everybody. This is Peter Dahlgren. We're building the Mears models F86 and getting ready to do some. I'm getting ready to start getting some more of this stuff done on the canopy so I can start doing other things. And what I've got here is an L12. This is an L12 lineal actuator. And basically it's 100 millimeter, and that's what you'll need for this. This is just a battery pack that I got cheaply just to use at 6 volt. You will have to put a power step down on this because of the fact is everything else is running 7.2 when it comes to everything else that's going in the airplane. But anyway, what I'm getting ready to do here, as you can see, this is it'll sit approximately right in here. Now what I got to do underneath here is get this. You'll notice on that there's a big tab, and yes, I just glassed that to give it a little bit more rigidity and get everything else kind of set up. But what I got to do, and what I did on this canopy frame, is I left it long so I could come back and cut it out. And my back's been killing me today. So anyway, that is long, and I will actually cut the excess off here. But basically, that's wet, and I gotta put that down. Anyway, that's where that's gonna go, and then I will actually put in 2 more pieces of hardwood under there, and was a couple bolts in there, and I'll actually make it so that it actually does. Now these actuators come with a couple different options on this, and you could actually go and put a couple washers on both sides and use the given hardware that it's actually got, and it will actually sit like this when we come into deal. And I'll just simply put it in and attach it to the frame that I built, which was my plan all along. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of travel on there. If I can find my ruler, I can actually show you. And this was the plan, was to have it open. It'll open approximately 4¼ inches, which is, it's more than enough. And the thing is, it does actually, it may be a little bit less. You may lose 1/4 inch on the total opening thing, but it will look like the guy can get in and out of it. And they are pretty tight fitting on the real one anyway, so 100 millimeters is your magic number on that. It's about a $70 lineal servo, and the actuality is I want 250 millimeters. Now that I've seen it, I like it, and I want to put 250 millimeters in here. Now I'm going to get some 8-pin multiplex connectors to put in here. One for this, one for the elevators, one for the rudder. The 8 pins will give me that, plus it'll give me the wiring for I'll be able to connect lights to it in the tail. There's only one strobe that goes back there. Now, the one thing is that I want to make sure that this is on its own channel. I have a 18 channel radio, so I'm not particularly worried about channels. I've got 12 on the receiver that I've got with 3 satellites, and it's more than enough. And another thing too is that, guys, if you don't have a little test rig, it's very inexpensive to make. It's very inexpensive to make, and this is a high-tech deal. They're about 10 bucks. Battery might cost you the same amount. And again, this particular wire is not used. You're only using the first one, and it'll work fine. And make sure you have it on test mode. These are not programmable, but it doesn't need to be on this particular deal. They do have built-in limited switches, which you'll hear it stop, but there's no chance of burning it out. And the one thing that I would say is that if you really wanted to get real creative, you could actually This battery pack here is going to go and run pretty much all of the operations that go inside here, like the lighted HUD. There'll be some interior lighting done on this, and there'll be other things as well as that. And you could run a micro servo. It's kind of stupid, but anyway, you could. But I do have a lot of things. The Pilot is powered, and it's just one of these deals. But these lineal servos are actually really cool. And it's about the right speed for scale. So yeah, you could go, I forget what my gear ratio on this one was. It's the faster, but that damn thing is strong as hell. And the one thing is I got to do on this canopy now is finish getting that glass, getting the top glass and everything, getting it fit in. And then that monster over there is actually going to be the final strength of the whole thing. As I told you guys a lot, I've got to hog this out so I can get that to fit real nice and tight. I'll cut it out a little bit and then get it so I can put some clamps on all this. Then I'll simply Bondo it and finish it off. And the main reason I want to do all that is because I've got a really cool cockpit kit coming from my Fly-Achilles for this. And it will be very, very special once this is done. It's just, to me, I don't want the same cockpit that everybody else is using. That defeats the purpose of going into competition. Is when you look like everybody else, you just kind of are like everybody else. I love the cockpit kit that was made for this, and it's beautiful, but I didn't make it. So it's kind of one of those deals. I'm kind of picky on that, and I love building the cockpits. It's just, that's my favorite part of this whole entire build, is doing that. Now, this all being said, I've been doing a lot of body work, and a lot of guys have made some comments that they think that I've got too much weight going on. Well, you can see through it, guys, so I'm not putting that much filler on this. I'm just getting enough to get the imperfections. And I've talked about my primer a lot, and a lot of guys are saying that I've been using this. Well, no, that was for another project. This is the product that I use for priming fiberglass, and this is not cheap stuff, but this is the same basic, it's basically the same primer setup, that it will spray like Duplicolor will, and it will actually go. But the one thing is that when you're building a spendy jet like this and you start getting into it, that is the last thing you want to skimp on. Once I prime this thing will be nice and thick. I will do what we call guide coating, and once that is done and complete, that stuff will be dry within an hour. And again, it's an epoxy, so there's a little button in the bottom of there, and you push that and you shake it up, and it's got a really good spraying tip. And I use this as clear coat as well, guys, because I will use a custom color that I will get from this. And there's a lot of little cans I'll be using, and a lot of little things, and a lot of clears. And I'm going to show you my painting technique, which a lot of people seem to really like, because I don't cut any corners, but I don't go way over expensive, and I get really good results. If you're looking here, you're going to see a lot of imperfections, and you can still feel them. And I got some body work to do in there, and I'll do that with a Dremel when I get the canopy on it and done. But the one main thing that I want to bring up, guys, is that stuff there, don't go and skim coat the whole thing to fill weave. It doesn't work. So it will, but it won't. And I use, it's Bondo, just straight as it is, but This is putty coat. It's polyester glazing and spot putty. And it's made by Dynatron. It's what I use, and it goes a very long ways. It sands just as easy as the other stuff, and it is catalyzed. Anything I put on this airplane is either it's either catalyzed or got some kind of hardener. But the reason I don't use any lacquers and stuff like that is because I absolutely do not ever want this thing to shrink and die back and show any sand scratches. And that is just, it's insane. I mean, that drives me freaking batshit fucking crazy. But anyway, it's just, the one main thing is that will work for panel lines. But if you wanted to go after you get this completely painted and guide coated and all this stuff and done, your panel lines and all that, then you can go over it with some Duplicolor to get your panel lines. However, I will not be using Duplicolor on this fuselage. And it's a whole lot cheaper. It's way cheaper. But the thing is, I'm not building a $2,000 airplane here, guys. I'm building a $10,000 airplane. So it's not the paint job is something that we got to make sure is right and make sure it doesn't look like a big old walking lump of shit. So anyway, I did work on my tunnel and I've got it looking pretty good. Got a little bit more work to do in there. But as you can see, I just took and I spread some coats on there, and I got my nose looking good. I got the profile right. I got everything going. There's a gun camera that goes in here, so I wanted to make sure that the tension was drawn into that. So we're going, and we're just making things work. I will not sand any more of this. It is rough. This looks really good, and it does, but I can tell you guys right now, you can see little spots and imperfections. I am not over sanding or even trying to even get this thing flat. And the reason for it is, is because the surfacer will do that for me, and it will glue it down even more, and it will be hard as a freaking rock. Obvious spots, like in here, where I had the dent in it. And, I glassed it, and I knew it was going to be there. I'm not infallible. Little spots like this, yes, I can feel them. I can absolutely feel where everything is amiss on that. But I didn't want, my main thing is to get these seams looking like this. I can live with that. And it will fill in even more with the primer. But I did not want I did not want any of the canopy or anything. I didn't want anything to take away from any of this. So my seams are tight. It'll be there, but it'll look like it to the common eye, it will look like it's always been supposed to be there. So one of the biggest things is that this is not a time to speed up. This is a time actually to go through and do as much of the body work as you possibly can. And we're not even going and trying to get this smooth. This is 220 grit. Sometimes I do it wet. It depends. It very much depends on what you're doing. But basically what I'm trying to do now is rough in all the shapes. And at the same time I'm doing one thing, I'm doing another. And yes, I had the wing on because I had to get this. I had to get this tail. There's a lot of dust on there. This tail needed to be cut in and done right. And there are some spots in that are going to get addressed as soon as it's, as soon as it's humanly possible to get to it. There's a lot of sanding left. And I did some repairs. I also corrected the size of the air brakes. And this one had a ding in it. So I overfilled it and I will sand it off. And then I will glass these as I would anything else, and that's going to make it a whole lot easier to do when I go and I make the channels to actually go for the 50 millimeter lineals that go in there. And again, that is something that will go from this area to this area, and then they will open and close. That's done because I had to fill that because of the fact is I made the doors too long. And I kind of did that on purpose, guys. If you watched the previous video on what I did for the air brakes, I was not sure how I was going to actuate them. But now that I've seen just how nice the actual actuators are, I will get 2 of them, and they will actually sit inside here, and I will actually go like the real one and cut this around, and then I'll build a box in this, a small box, and channel that in there, and I'll make that a removable piece. And these are all things that I'm doing after I glass that in there. And I want to explain why I do a lot, why I don't build this stuff into this, and why I didn't have it, why I don't have anything installed in there. And I actually do. The things that I knew were going to be a real pain in the butt to get to, like the wiring, it's always been built into it. As a matter of fact, I put it in before it was even sheeted. And guys, I use silicone 26 AWG wire, and this stuff is got, you can see it right in there. There is a heat sleeve protection on all of these wires, and that'll keep it from the exhaust temperature. And it was way easier to put it in before I actually sheeted that. And then I make my own wiring harnesses. I do have a lot of the wire. I buy the actual wire most of the time, 50 feet. This will do every bit of that. I've got 100 feet of wire here. And this is 50 feet. I've got 100 feet of wire. And then I go through and I actually I have all the pins that I need, more than enough. This will last me a long time. And then I buy this, and I actually have the crimper, but I have all the ends and everything already here. And they do work out well. Very simple, very easy. And then what I will do here, and a lot of guys have asked me, because you don't want a lot of wires floating around in there, I will be putting 8-pin MPX wire connectors here, and I will actually put the 8-pin in here. So all these, there are 3 channels that go in the back there. And then I'll have my flaps and ailerons, they'll come out in here. I'm running air retracts on this, so I will do that. And another thing that I do have that's got to be installed and put in are the air tanks. And the air tanks will be set, they will be set in an area non-disclosed yet, because I have not, I have 2 air tanks, and then I'll be running air brakes, and I got to get the valves. And they may sit right on top in here or that, I don't know. But I am getting ready to cut a big gaping hole in here. And so I think one of the big things is that once I get the landing gear, then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And this is something that you cannot do if you use Duplicolor for primer. And that is popping a mold off the bottom of this. Now what I'm going to do here, the next plan on a lot of things, is to come underneath it. There'll probably be some stuff rattle around in there a little bit, but that's okay. Now what's going to happen here, guys, is, again, I'm doing filling. It's not a big deal. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is I will take and actually, once this is primered, and I actually get it kind of halfway blocked out, then I will lay some glass in a part here. Now, the main thing is, for the reason for wanting to do it is because I'm going to have the panel lines so I can measure the landing gear doors and get them to the exact right scale, and then I will cut this out. But I also want to make this so that the landing gear is serviceable. Now, the center line of the airplane is actually established in it, and what I'm doing here with a lot of this is actually getting and actually making certain that when I come off here that I have two lights. Again, I fly Achilles, two retractable lights that go right in here. There is plenty of room for them, so don't let them scare you. But if I can, I will cut this out with a hand razor saw that I have just ordered, because I lost my other one because I'm not very well organized in here yet. And then I will carefully cut this out. If I can do it, it would be really cool, because then I know the landing gear door is actually going to fit. We will be using a sequencer that is actually an air item, and we've been doing this forever. It's a no-brainer for setting it up. And then we'll make some gear doors that will come into here. But we have two big gear doors that come right in there. And that's why I am filling this and trying to get this as much as possible. So if I make them out of fiberglass, they're going to be a lot better for filling with foam, and then I can use the Dremel to actually go in there and hand carve them out, and we can glass them and get them to look like they're right. But the one main thing is you want to make sure that you're absolutely centered, and you want to make sure you're running that. Now, our scale wheels will only come in to about right in here, but the door itself, the door we're making, will actually come back into here, and there's a space about that wide, and you got two gear doors. They'll come out, and then you have another, and then you're going to have to make this little piece right in here work for you. So popping a mold makes a whole lot more sense to go out there and make, the fiberglass landing gear doors, and then once they sit, which they'll sit about right in here. So there is a tremendous amount of work yet to do, but it's not intimidating. It's really not that hard, but now maybe I can make everybody understand why I don't have a bunch of gaping holes in my airplane and why I didn't do this. Because my landing gear is custom made for this airplane. And a good friend of mine made it, and I'm sure once it's done, if we can talk to him, I'm sure he'd be happy to make more. And the one thing is that my landing gear will actually rotate up. And that was one of the things I talked about in early videos, is that I almost turned this into an FJ2. And the reason for it was because nobody makes quarter scale rotating landing gear for nose gear for this that's affordable. I mean, a lot of guys can do it. But, I've already come to the conclusion that spending too much money, you got to draw the line somewhere. But and it's just like the fuel tanks. This is a big airplane. And by the way, the engine is on its way. I did get it from the UK. My friend John actually made me a screen deal on it. And again, I talked a lot about, there's a lot of trade and bartering when it comes to this. And this community it doesn't matter where you're from. This is one of the reasons why I love building big airplanes. Because the camaraderie with us builders and pilots and everything alike is absolutely amazing. We all it doesn't matter what country you're from, we all look out for each other. And you know what? This is why I'm involved in this hobby, fellas and ladies, and all of you people that are out there watching. And I've said it a million times. If everybody could find the common ground that we all have, this world would be a lot better place to live in. But I'm not complaining too bad. I'm just bitching. But anyway, one thing about it is, guys, is that we get in, we build, and we learn from each other. And believe me, I've made a few mistakes on this thing. I am not a perfect. I'm not a complete, total 100% master. This airplane will be beautiful, but it's like I said, it's all about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And it's not about who's got the most money, who's got the most perfect shop. It's not about this. You make what you got work for you. And that was the whole intent of this build series, was to show you don't need a huge, amazing shop. Even though I moved into a pretty good sized room, I mean, my shop's probably about, I'm going to say it's 13 by probably 15 feet deep. It's about the size of a garage. As a matter of fact, it's not as deep, but it's got plenty of room for building, and I can get around the jet. So it's not a real huge problem. And as you can see, I've got a lot of sanding to do. And just so you guys understand, I am not infallible. And I did booger up a couple spots. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And as I said, I would show every bit of my mistakes and failures and conquest. This is not a problem. I can fill this, and it looks like crap right now, but oh well, you know. I'm going to fill it, and then I'm going to glass it. You'll never see it. And then all these other spots and things like that, I'll just make it look, everything kind of disappear and make it gorgeous. And there's a lot of work to do yet. But I'm sure once you see it in primer for the first time, and I might even do that down the road. And I may even do a video of me actually shooting the primer and showing what it is, because this is the one thing that a lot of people are going to get really frustrated with. Again, one of the things that frustrates a lot of guys when it comes to glassing and painting is the fact is that first coat of primer, no matter how thick you put it on, you lose most of it. And that's actually a very good thing, because when you put your second coat on, you're going to notice that a lot of your blocking and all that stuff and these things that you do to make this thing amazing really does. And if you guys are on my Facebook, look at my Spitfire, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when it comes down to it. You can actually see the progress on that one quite well. And I had some serious Bondo issues with that one, and it didn't come out very heavy, and it looked amazing. So anyway, that'll be it for now. I got to go down and get some 1x12s. I got to get some shelves in here, guys. I'm driving myself freaking crazy in here because I've got so much jet things now, and I need room for everything. And it's one of these deals now, once you get into electronics and this and that, you got to have the room to do it. You got to have the tables. You got to have everything ready to kind of go. And when you get piled up like that, it just drives you freaking batshit crazy. So anyway, I'll see you guys on Funny Papers. And it's like I said, get inspired. Get out there and build something. And those of you guys that are from all over the world, this is another thing. And I don't care where you're from or what it is, I will answer any messages. If I see them, I will answer them. If you PM me, if I know who you are and stuff like that, and I get a message from you, I will answer. So the one thing is that I've got a lot of new people. And Jesus Christ, I don't know where Baka Rajan is, but that was one of the funniest conversations I ever had. And Jordan, my friends in Jordan, I want to just say hello. Thanks for not, thanks for the respect. I mean, I do absolutely do that. All my friends in the UK, my crazy people down in Australia, I love the shit out of you people. You guys crack me the fuck up. I think this is one thing about Australians. I have not met one yet that's ever had a straight face. You guys are, I wish that all the countries were like that. And thanks from Ralph from England. It called me a cunt. That was funny anyway. But anyway, yeah, I have had a blast talking with a lot of you guys. Keep those messages coming in. If you see me, I'm Pete Dahlgren from Seattle on Facebook. Please do send me a friend request. I will gladly accept it. And yes, I am a musician. I used to play professionally. I don't anymore. And yeah, a lot of the music that is on there was actually me. But and I think the next video series is going to be maybe the 104. We don't know yet. But I made a deal with the War Department here. And if you guys don't have a War Department in your home, you're doing good. But as far as my better half, the deal is that I am only allowed to have airplanes that I don't have to rebuy all the stuff for. So this is another little piece of advice that I will give you guys, because happy wife, happy life. And that's just the way that is. There's no arguing about it. Because I can guarantee you piss my old lady off. And I mean, they've named comets after women and this and that, and when they're not out destroying the world and burning my credit card up, I'm telling you right now, that old saying, hell hath no fury than that of a woman, absolutely 100% true. So anyway, and I'm very happily married. I got a great family. I have 3 awesome grandkids, and I've actually got my girls and the boy and everything else. And yeah, I'm a very dedicated father, and I love being a grandfather. I absolutely adore it. And so the one thing that I can tell you people is stay true to yourselves, and no matter what it is in life, family always comes first. And God bless y'all. Really. And we'll keep you deal, and I'll see you in the funny papers.